President Biden, faced with a bloc which includes China, Russia, Iran, and increasingly possibly Saudi Arabia, wants to reinforce his own grouping of democratic countries, Europe, Japan, South Korea, and so on. What better country to attract to this than India, the world's largest democracy? Fine, except that India's democratic record is pretty questionable nowadays, with ethnic and religious groups feeling discriminated against by the government and the media, and increasingly the judiciary under the control of Narendra Modi, India's Prime Minister. So what did President Biden, who once said that human rights were at the heart of his government, do? Well, he rolled out the red carpet for Mr. Modi. Zubair Ahmed, BBC Hindi correspondent.
Mr. Modi's supporters in India are, they are very happy to tell you that their boss was denied a visa in the year 2005 on grounds of alleged human rights violations in Gujarat when he was the chief minister of the state. The same man gets a red carpet welcome, a hero's welcome in the United States. So it is a kind of personal triumph for Mr. Modi. That's, in a nutshell, what people or his supporters are saying in India.
But of course, it's really about China, isn't it? It's about the United States trying to win over India to a coalition that will confront China and perhaps Russia.
It's clear why President Biden is trying to woo India so desperately. He believes that a strong India-US partnership is essential to maintain a free and open and even a prosperous Indo-Pacific region, not dominated by China. This could be the reason why the Biden administration has been willing to overlook the concerns over India's alleged dwindling human rights records. Over the years, the successive US administrations have been trying to take India into the Western orbit by breaking its strong ties with Russia. And also, they have been trying to remove India's suspicion of the West. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine last year in February, the Biden administration has been trying really hard to convince India to condemn the Russian aggression, but without much luck. In the long run, over the maybe past 20-odd years, the American endeavors appear to be bearing fruit. India is closer to the US today than it ever was. And in the last 20 years, India's dependence on Russian weapons imports have been reduced from 68% to 46% today. And the US has been the main beneficiary because India's weapons imports from the US have been steadily on the rise.
Nevertheless, India comes out of this much stronger, doesn't it, than it went into the visit.
I think India's interests primarily lie in rising as a great power, a voice of the global South, as Mr. Modi has said several times. It sees the United States as a very important partner in the quest. India wants America's cutting-edge technology, the state-of-the-art weapons. China is as much of a threat to India as people here in India know that it's a concern for the US. So India would like the US to be on its side as an all-weather friend without really giving too much to the US.
Now Mr. Modi can say to India, look, the biggest democracy on earth is giving us and our policies the thumbs up.
He has harped on one thing, that India is the biggest democracy in the world, even when he was talking about India's democracy, there were protesters outside the White House protesting against alleged human rights violations in India and the treatment the Muslims and the Christians are being meted out in India. He kept emphasizing the fact that India is the biggest democracy in the world and America is the strongest democracy. He's using democracy to get plaudits. India is in a position where foreign investors, the American investors, they want the Indian access to the Indian markets because there is decoupling and de-risking of the American companies vis-a-vis China, and they see India as an alternative to China as the global production hub. They all want to come to India to invest. Some of them are already there. So India is today in a position it feels that it cannot be dictated to.